If there's one thing my family loves more than potluck dinners and unsolicited life advice, it's gossip. Good, old-fashioned, family-destroying gossip, the kind that gets passed around faster than deviled eggs at Grandma's 4th of July cookout. And that's exactly how it all started. My name's Dean. Middle child. Oldest son. Chronic disappointment in the eyes of my family, but only because I didn't follow the script. See, I didn't go to college like my older sister, Juliet, the golden girl with a Pinterest perfect life and a fiancé who looked like he came out of a wedding catalog. I didn't become a lawyer like my younger brother, Jeremy, who was somehow born with both a trust fund and a superiority complex. Nope. I became a baker. Yeah, like cupcakes, sourdough, wedding cakes. Dough in my nails, flour on my sleeves. Cute hobby, my dad once said when I told him I'd opened a tiny bakery with my best friend. It's something, my mom said, like I'd just revealed I moonlight as a clown. They didn't take it seriously, not until years later. But we're not there yet. 5 years ago, I was still living paycheck to paycheck, juggling orders, maxed out credit cards, and early mornings that began before sunrise. Meanwhile, Juliet was getting engaged to Mason, the human Ken doll with a Tesla, a trust fund, and the emotional depth of a pothole. I showed up to her engagement party wearing a button-up I got on sale and shoes I'd resold myself. I even brought a customized engagement cake, handmade sugar flowers, 3 tiers, lemon raspberry filling, the works. I stayed up all night finishing it, even skipped a client order just to make something special. And for a moment, one brief, shiny moment, I thought I'd done something right. People were complimenting the cake. Even Juliet smiled. My dad gave me one of those half-pats on the back, like I'd finally earned a sliver of approval. But by the end of the night, I was being treated like I'd brought a rat carcass instead of cake. It started small. A weird glance here. A whisper there. Juliet went from warm to icy in the span of 2 toasts. Mom avoided eye contact. Dad suddenly looked constipated and disappointed again, his natural state. Even Jeremy, who normally just ignored me, gave me a glare like I'd burned the house down. I didn't know what happened. 1 second I was joking with the bartender about how I almost forgot the cake knife. The next, I was standing alone while Mason's cousin whispered something to my aunt with wide eyes. By the time I left the party, it was clear, something was very wrong. It wasn't until the next morning that I found out. Jeremy texted me 2 words. Unbelievable, man. I replied, confused. What are you talking about? He didn't answer. Instead, Mom called me. And when I picked up, she didn't even say hello. She launched in like a missile. How could you do this to your sister? After everything? Did you really think we wouldn't find out? Find out what? I asked, stunned. She huffed. You were spreading rumors about Mason cheating? During their engagement party? You announced it to the bartender? What? No, what? I didn't say anything. But she wasn't listening. None of them were. I later found out the full rumor, that I had gone to the bartender, loudly, publicly, and said Mason was cheating on Juliet with some girl from his gym, and that I hoped she found out before the wedding. Apparently I was jealous, and trying to sabotage her happiness. Except, I didn't even know Mason went to a gym. And the bartender? I'd asked if they had a box for the cake topper. That was it. But someone, decided I'd said something else. And instead of asking me about it, my family just ran with it. Like greyhounds chasing a rumor-shaped rabbit. I tried calling, texting, explaining. Nothing worked. Juliet blocked me. Dad said I wasn't welcome at family dinners. Mom sent a final text that read, "Don't bother coming around until you grow up and apologize." Apologize. For something I didn't say. Something I didn't do. That was the last contact I had with any of them for 5 years. You know what's wild? I spent my whole childhood being told that family is everything. That no matter what happened, we'd always stick together. Mom even had that cliché needlepoint in the hallway. Blood makes you related, but love makes you family. Apparently, she forgot to read the second half of her own decor. Because the moment some distant cousin with gossip-flavored brain worms opened her mouth, my entire family dropped me like I'd committed a felony mid-toast. I went from Dean the baker to Dean the bitter sabotage artist in less than 24 hours. They didn't even ask me. For the first month, I tried to fix it. I really did. I texted Juliet at least 6 times, all left unread. I sent her a handwritten letter, actually bought a card and wrote out everything I remembered from that night. Even included a copy of the bakery invoice with the cake details to prove I was too busy piping frosting swirls to be plotting character assassinations. No response. I called Mom. She picked up once. I said, "Can we just talk?" And she said, "Talk about what? Lies?" And hung up. Dad didn't even try. The last message he sent said, "Maybe this'll finally teach you consequences." Consequences for bringing a cake? At some point I realized I could either keep banging my head against a locked door or find another way to live. So I did what I knew how to do. I worked. I put everything into the bakery. My best friend Sasha and I renamed it Second Rise, which felt poetic. She did the front end and books. I handled the baking and recipes. We started small. But every month we grew. I started waking up excited again, even if it was at 4:30 a.m., with dough under my fingernails. We booked weddings, then anniversaries, then birthdays. Then one day, a food blogger posted a photo of our signature caramel sea salt tart, and it went viral. And I mean viral. Within 3 months, we were booked out 6 weeks in advance. Within a year, we had a second location. And within 2, I was teaching baking classes in the evenings and training a small team. I didn't post revenge quotes. I didn't go on Facebook and rage-type paragraphs. I didn't even unfollow anyone. I just faded out of their world. They didn't notice. Not when I won the local 30 Under 30 award. Not when I donated cakes for charity events they attended. Not even when my face was literally printed on the side of a delivery van they passed on the freeway. That part stung, more than I like to admit. I used to imagine my mom scrolling Instagram and seeing a post from someone raving about our peach cobbler cake. I'd wonder if it made her pause. If she ever thought, "That's my son." Probably not. But here's the thing, I didn't need them to clap for me anymore. I just wanted peace. And for a while I had it. Until one random Thursday, 5 years later, I got a call. I didn't recognize the number. It was local, but I'd long stopped answering unmarked calls unless it was a vendor or delivery guy. So I let it go to voicemail. Then Sasha poked her head into the kitchen holding her phone. "Dean," she said, with that tone that means something's off. "You're gonna wanna hear this." She hit play. It was Juliet. 5 years. No contact. No apology. No explanations. Just her voice, out of nowhere, shaky and uncertain. "Dean, I know this is probably the last thing you want, but I need to talk to you. Please call me back. I know the truth now. About what happened." I stood in the middle of the kitchen, covered in flour, holding a spatula, heart frozen like one of our fridge cakes. The truth? That voicemail broke something loose in my chest. But not in a satisfying way. Not in the aha! Finally, redemption way. More like in a wow, I don't even know if I want this anymore way. Because here's the thing no one tells you about getting cut off by people you love. You grieve them like a death. And after 5 years? You're not sure if you want a resurrection. I didn't call her back. Not right away. I listened to the voicemail 4 times that night. Then stared at my phone for an hour while half a lemon pound cake sat forgotten on the cooling rack. I even typed out a message. "Hey, I got your message. What truth?" And deleted it before I could hit send. I couldn't decide if it was curiosity or bitterness keeping me up. The next day, Sasha cornered me. "You okay?" she asked gently. "You've sifted that flour like 4 times." I shrugged. "Just got a weird message." She raised an eyebrow. From the people who shall not be named? That's what she called them. My family. She'd been there through the fallout. Saw me spiral, rebuild, refocus. Even once sent my mom an invoice for emotional damages plus the cost of therapy snacks. I laughed a little. Juliet. She said she knows the truth now. Sasha leaned back. And do we care? That was the question, wasn't it? Did I care? The younger me would have dropped everything and driven across town. The version of me that still clung to hope like an old birthday card. But this version, the one who'd built something real from scratch, without applause, wasn't sure. So I let another day pass. Then two. On the third morning, I got another voicemail. This one, different. Juliet sounded panicked. Dean, please. I know you probably hate me. I wouldn't blame you. But I need to tell you what happened. It wasn't you. It was Mason. He told people you said something, but it was him, he said it first. He was the one cheating. Was someone at his gym? I found the messages. Everything. I was so stupid. Please. I need to talk to you. I sat on the bakery's back steps and listened to it again. Then again. It was like being thrown into a time machine and dragged through every emotion I thought I'd buried. Anger. Sadness. That humiliating confusion from 5 years ago. Mason. Of course it was Mason. Apparently, on the night of the engagement party, he had been cheating. Juliet found out later that he'd been sleeping with a girl from his boxing class. One of his friends warned him the news was spreading, so Mason, ever the charming manipulator, decided to spin it. He told people I said it first. Me. The baker with the handmade cake and the discount shoes. He fed the rumor through the right people, planted the idea that I was bitter and jealous. Said I was trying to ruin their moment. And they believed him. Because it was easier to believe the screw-up son with a whisk than the golden fiancé with veneers and charisma. That realization? It hit harder than I expected. Not because it was surprising, but because it made sense. Mason had always been good at deflecting. He once got out of a speeding ticket by offering the cop free supplements from his gym. Of course he'd frame me. Of course he'd manipulate my already fragile family. But what burned wasn't just what he did. It was that they let him. Without question. Without pause. Without even a half-hearted, "Dean, is this true?" And now they wanted to talk? Now that the lies caught up with him? Now that Mason was out of the picture and Juliet had to sit with the truth? It's funny. I used to imagine what this moment would feel like. The call. The apology. The "I'm so sorry, you were right." But in reality? It didn't feel victorious. It just felt hollow. Like she'd cracked open a door I'd already learned to live without. That night, I walked home and stared at my front door for a while. I remembered the first time I walked through it with my own keys. No one had come to my housewarming. I'd invited them, back then. Even sent a photo of the little "Home Sweet Home" sign I bought from a thrift shop. No one replied. And now they were circling back, like I was some checkpoint in a game they'd skipped but needed to complete. I didn't return Juliet's call. Not yet. I needed time. Because truth might clear the record, but it doesn't erase the silence that followed. It took me another week to finally call her back. I didn't even tell Sasha. I just went outside during a lunch break, sat on a milk crate behind the bakery, and dialed her number with one thumb hovering over the end call button the whole time. Juliet answered on the second ring. "Dean?" she said, like my name was something fragile. "Oh my God, thank you for calling me back." I didn't say anything at first. I just let her talk. And boy, did she talk. Turns out she found the proof. Messages between Mason and the gym girl. Screenshots he forgot to delete from his iCloud. Even some old DMs where he bragged to his friends about how he dodged a bullet by turning the cheating rumor on me. She cried. Like audibly. "I can't believe I didn't see it. I was so stupid." "You weren't stupid," I finally said. "You were in love." She went quiet. Then she whispered, "But I destroyed us." I destroyed our family because of a lie. I could have jumped in with a, "Yes, you did." I could have unloaded 5 years' worth of hurt like a dump truck on a hillside. But I didn't. Because in that moment I realized I didn't need to. Juliet was sitting in the wreckage now. Of her marriage. Of her choices. Of the family she'd fractured to protect someone who didn't deserve it. She was finally living in the silence I'd been forced into. "You didn't destroy us," I said quietly. "You just showed me who was willing to burn the bridge." I thought that would be the end of it, some catharsis, some full circle closure. But I was wrong. Because the next morning, I opened the bakery and found my entire family standing outside. Mom, Dad, Jeremy, even Aunt Susan, who once called my bakery a hobby shack during a Thanksgiving prayer. They looked like they'd shown up for a funeral and realized too late it wasn't theirs. Sasha stood next to me at the front window, staring through the glass. "You expecting zombies?" she asked. "I think I prefer zombies." Before I could even blink, Mom was waving at the window like she was greeting an old friend instead of the son she cut off for 5 years. "They're not coming in here," Sasha muttered. "They better not," I said. "We have paying customers and a health code rating." But they didn't try to come in. They just waited. Like a sad group of VIPs trying to get past the velvet rope of a club they'd forgotten how to enter. Eventually, I walked outside. Dad was the first to speak. "Son, Dean, we're sorry." That's it. No warm-up. No. "We miss you." Or, "Let's talk." Just, "We're sorry." Mom sniffled like she just finished cutting onions with her pride. "I didn't know," she said. "Juliet told us everything. We feel awful." I folded my arms. "Yeah? 5 years awful? Or just recently awful?" Jeremy jumped in, because of course he did. "Come on, man. It was a misunderstanding." I raised an eyebrow. "Is that what we're calling it? A misunderstanding? Like I lost your AirPods and not my entire relationship with my family?" He had the decency to look ashamed. Mom stepped forward, hands wringing. "We just want things to go back to the way they were." That line? That broke me. "Back?" I said. "You mean back to being the one you roll your eyes at? Back to being the afterthought? The outsider?" "I didn't go anywhere. You all left me." Their silence was the loudest thing I'd heard all week. Then, softly, I said, "You're 5 years too late for a group hug." And with that, I walked back inside, let the door shut behind me, and went to frost a red velvet cake like it was any other day. Because for me? It was. The next few days were awkward. And not like accidentally waved back at someone who wasn't waving at me. Awkward. I mean full-blown. My family is camped outside my life with sorry eyes and coffee cups. Awkward. They came back. Not all at once, not with banners and marching bands, thank God, but in waves. First, Mom came by with a Tupperware of her infamous dry lemon bars, the same ones I once jokingly described as citrus-flavored regret. She left them on the bakery counter with a note that said, "Thought of you. Hope these are better." I didn't eat them. Sasha did. Even she winced. Then came Jeremy. Showed up during my Thursday night baking class, wearing a button-down and that practiced smirk that lawyers have when they know they're losing but pretending they aren't. "Hey, Dean," he said, hovering near the aprons. "I'm teaching a class. Can we talk sometime?" I gestured to the rising bread dough. "Talks in progress. Dough first, drama later." He left, clearly confused that his charm had no effect on someone holding a rolling pin and a grudge. And then there was Dad. He didn't come inside. He just sat in his car outside the bakery on Saturday afternoon, engine running, watching people come and go. I saw him from the front window. Didn't wave. Didn't move. After 20 minutes, he drove off. I didn't hear from Juliet again, not directly. Instead, she posted a long, painfully public Facebook status. Something about truth, time, and learning who really matters. It was vague enough for deniability, but dramatic enough to spark comment wars among our extended family. Sasha read it out loud in a British accent. We made cake pops in silence afterward. But here's the weird part. I wasn't angry anymore. I thought I would be. I expected to be. 5 years of being cast as the villain in a story I never auditioned for, that should have brewed some kind of lasting rage. But all I felt was detachment. Like they were characters from a show I used to binge but got tired of watching. And in that space, something surprising happened. Peace. Not the kind that comes from revenge or forced apologies, but the kind that grows slowly, like yeast. The kind that fills in the cracks where family used to sit. I had my crew now. Sasha. Our little bakery team. The regulars who'd bring their kids in on Saturdays and call me Chef D. The couple who got engaged in our back garden and asked me to cater their wedding. They showed up. Consistently. Without guilt, without strings. And as much as I wanted to believe blood should matter more, it just didn't anymore. The only person I was still unsure about was Juliet. Because despite everything, I missed her. I missed our stupid sibling jokes. I missed the way she used to steal bites from my mixing bowls and lie about it with a mouth full of batter. I missed the version of her that didn't look through me like I was an accident she had to pretend to love. So when she texted me again, this time just a sentence. Can I come by? Just us? I said yes. And for the first time in 5 years, my sister walked through the door of my life not as a golden child or a broken bride, but as someone unsure of her place. She looked around the bakery like it was a museum she wasn't qualified to enter. It's beautiful, she said quietly. It works. She nodded. I'm sorry. For everything. For not asking you. For not standing up. For believing someone who was lying through his teeth instead of the person who brought me cake since we were 12. I didn't speak for a moment. Then I handed her a cupcake. Vanilla bean, raspberry center. Her favorite. I won't lie. I said. You hurt me. Worse than anyone ever has. I know. But I think you're trying now. And maybe that counts for something. She looked like she might cry, but instead, she took a bite. And for a split second, we were just siblings again, messy, flawed, still rebuilding. Not everything needed to go back. Some things just needed to start over. Juliet started coming around more after that. Not every day, just enough to let me know she was trying. She'd swing by in the mornings when things were slow, grab a coffee and a scone, ask about the weirdest orders I'd had lately. Sometimes she'd bring awkward little peace offerings, like a soy candle labeled Cinnamon Nostalgia, or a mug that said, Best brother ever, with a clearance tag still on the bottom. It wasn't perfect. But it felt honest. That was more than I could say for the rest of them. Mom called next. She wanted to rebuild the family, whatever that meant. Probably brunches. Group texts. Posing for holiday photos with people I didn't trust holding mimosa glasses and fake smiles. I told her I wasn't ready. She sighed and said, Well, how long will that take? And I said, Longer than 5 years. That's how long you left me behind. She went quiet. That kind of silence? That was the beginning of her learning curve. Dad, on the other hand, took a different route. He emailed me. Yeah, emailed. Like it was a business apology. Subject line, let's talk. Body. Dean, I recognize that things got out of hand. I may have overreacted based on what we were told. I regret that now. Let me know if you'd like to come by for dinner sometime. I read it 3 times. It felt like a memo from a regional manager, not a father. I didn't respond. Sasha asked me if I was going to open that door again, the full family. 1. I don't know. I told her. Some doors stay shut for a reason. But even as I said it, I was thinking about Juliet. She wasn't perfect, but she was persistent. She didn't just say sorry, she kept showing up. Not to be forgiven, but to earn it. She came by one afternoon with a photo album. I found this in Mom's garage, she said, setting it down on the bakery counter. It has the cake you made for my 13th birthday. The one that collapsed? I laughed. That thing looked like a deflated soccer ball. It tasted amazing, she said. You put gummy worms inside it because I said I like surprises. We sat on a flower-dusted bench, flipping through photos. Childhood Christmases. Halloween costumes. A picture of me holding a mixer twice the size of my head. It was the first time in years I saw us as kids, before titles like success and disappointment split us up. She said quietly, I'm not asking you to fix everything with Mom and Dad. I just don't want to lose you again. You did lose me, I said. But maybe you found someone better this time. She nodded. I hope so. I won't lie, that moment softened something in me. But it also made my boundaries sharper. Because while I could let Juliet back in slowly, like a dimmer switch instead of a floodlight, the rest of them? They still hadn't earned a knock, let alone a key. And then came the party. Not mine. Not Juliet's. Dad's retirement party. They threw it big. Country club venue, catered menu, white tablecloths and crystal centerpieces. The kind of thing that costs more than I made my first year in business. And they invited everyone. Cousins. Neighbors. That one guy who fixed their roof in 2006. But not me. Sasha found the invite online, buried in a Facebook event one of our cousins tagged her in. Guess who's not on the guest list? She said, holding up her phone like a smoking gun. I stared at the screen. My name wasn't there. Not even as an afterthought. Not even as a pity add-on. That was the moment it all clicked. They didn't want to rebuild. They just wanted me to forget. To sweep it under the rug so they could polish their family image without facing the dust they left behind. Juliet showed up at the bakery the day after the party, looking tense. I'm sorry, she said before I even asked. I told them to invite you. I told them not doing it would be a mistake. They didn't listen. She nodded. They think if you're not angry anymore, that means you're over it. But I told them, forgiveness isn't forgetting. I nodded slowly. They still think this is about one party, I said. They don't understand I already left their house years ago. And I built my own. She looked at me, eyes glossy. And it's better than anything they ever had. I smiled faintly. I know. A week after the retirement party that I was never invited to, Mom showed up again. This time, she didn't come with lemon bars or passive-aggressive tears. She came with a manila envelope. Just give me 5 minutes, she said, standing in front of the bakery like it was court-ordered therapy. I let her in. Partly because Sasha wasn't around to stop me. Mostly because I wanted to see what the hell was inside that envelope. We sat at the corner table, the one I usually saved for elderly regulars and nervous couples trying cake samples. Mom looked nervous. More nervous than the day she cut me off. Back then, she had conviction in her voice, a rehearsed disappointment. Now, she looked like someone who wasn't sure if the apology would bounce. She slid the envelope toward me. It's letters. From all of us. Me. Your dad. Jeremy. Even Susan. Letters, I said flatly. She nodded. We didn't know what else to do. Juliet said you weren't interested in a sit-down. So we wrote. I didn't touch the envelope. Did it ever occur to you that I wasn't interested because you already said everything you needed to 5 years ago? I know, she said. But we were wrong. I finally looked at the envelope. Thick. Probably filled with dramatic 3-page. Oops, my bad. Monologues and quotes from family therapy worksheets. But the weight didn't impress me. If anything, it irritated me. You could have written 5 years ago, I said. Instead, I got silence. And now, when it's convenient, I'm supposed to read letters like it's homework for a class I never signed up for? Tears welled up in her eyes. Dean, we just want our family back. You had your family, I said. You just didn't include me in it. She looked down. Is there anything we can do? I leaned back in my chair and let the silence fill the room. Then I looked her straight in the eyes and said, You can leave. She froze, blinking, like she wasn't sure she heard me right. Dean, you can leave. I repeated, pointing to the door. Take the letters. Take the guilt. Take whatever fantasy you have about this all being a misunderstanding. And leave. She sat there, mouth parted slightly, like she wanted to argue. But she didn't. She picked up the envelope. Walked to the door. Paused. I do love you, she said softly. I smiled, but it wasn't warm. That's the thing about love. It doesn't count if it only shows up after the damage. Then I opened the door for her, held it, actually, and watched her step out into the daylight. The bell jingled like it was congratulating me. That night, Sasha and I closed the shop early. We didn't say much. Just made hot chocolate and sat on the back steps. She finally broke the silence. So, she said, sipping. You ready to admit you handled that like a total badass? I smirked. I didn't throw the hot chocolate at her. That counts for something. Saint-like restraint, she said. Seriously though, how do you feel? I took a long breath. Let it settle. Lighter, I said. Like I was carrying around a room full of people on my back, and I finally set it down. She nodded. And you didn't even need to read their dramatic apology haikus. I chuckled. I already know what they'd say. Then I stood up. Looked out at the quiet street. The bakery lights glowing behind me. My name on the window. My recipes in the ovens. My life. Built from scratch. They left me over a rumor, I said. And now they're shocked I'm not the same person. Sasha raised her mug. To growth. To boundaries, I said, clinking mine against hers. To having the last word, she added. I paused. Smiled. Actually, I said, the last word is closed. A month passed. No more letters. No more surprise drop-ins. No more retirement parties I wasn't invited to. Just quiet. And honestly, I loved it. Juliet still came by every once in a while. We didn't force it. No pressure to be what we once were, just small talks over muffins and shared glances that said, we're not fixed. But we're here. Then one Friday afternoon, as I was wiping down tables and gearing up for closing, I heard the bell above the door ring. I looked up, and there he was. Mason. Looking older, thinner, like his perfect life had been through a blender and poured back into that same smug bottle. Dean, he said, hands in pockets like we were frat brothers. Got a minute? I blinked. You've got 10 seconds before I call the fire marshal and tell them a grease stain walked in. He smirked like I was joking. I wasn't. I just wanted to say. I didn't mean for all that to happen. All what? The cheating, the lies, or the part where you fed my family a story that turned me into a ghost? He opened his mouth, but I didn't let him speak. Don't worry, I said calmly. I'm not angry anymore. That confused him. I'm just not interested. And I pointed to the sign on the door behind him. The one Sasha made last year, simple, clean, to the point. Please close the door behind you. He glanced back, unsure if that was literal or metaphorical. It was both. Take care, Mason, I added. And do us all a favor. Next time you want to ruin someone's life, try ruining your own first. He stood there speechless. But the bell rang again. And this time, as the door shut, I swear it clicked harder than usual. Maybe that was just me hearing things. Or maybe that was the sound of closure. Real, final, and long overdue.